In the quiet hills of Judea, where the wind whispered through the olive trees and the stars shone like scattered diamonds, a shepherd named Ezra tended his flock. He was a man of deep faith, known for his patience and care for every sheep in his fold. But one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned to shades of purple and gold, Ezra noticed something was wrong. One of his lambs was missing. Ezra's heart sank. The lamb was small and frail, the youngest of the flock, and it had wandered off before. He knew it wouldn't survive the night alone, not with the wolves that prowled the hills. Without hesitation, Ezra called to his son Caleb, who was helping him tend the flock. "Stay with the sheep," Ezra instructed. "I must find the lost lamb." Caleb nodded, though his face was filled with worry. "Be careful, father. The night is coming, and the hills are dangerous." Ezra grabbed his staff and a small lantern, then set off into the gathering darkness. He called out for the lamb as he walked, his voice echoing through the valleys. "Little one! Where are you?" The terrain was rough, and the path was steep, but Ezra pressed on. He searched behind rocks, in thickets, and near the streams, but there was no sign of the lamb. Hours passed, and the night grew colder. Ezra's lantern flickered, its light growing dim, but he refused to give up. Finally, as he climbed a rocky outcrop, he heard a faint, pitiful bleating. His heart leapt with hope. He followed the sound, scrambling over stones and through brambles, until he found the lamb trapped in a crevice, its leg caught between two rocks. "There you are," Ezra said softly, his voice filled with relief. He knelt down and gently freed the lamb, cradling it in his arms. The little creature trembled, its eyes wide with fear, but Ezra stroked its head and whispered soothing words. "You're safe now. I've got you." With the lamb safely in his arms, Ezra began the long journey back to the flock. The night was deep, and the stars were his only guide, but he didn't mind. He was filled with joy, knowing he had found what was lost. When he finally returned to the fold, Caleb ran to meet him. "You found it!" he exclaimed, his face lighting up with relief. Ezra nodded, smiling as he set the lamb down among the others. "Of course I did," he said. "This little one is precious to me. I would never leave it behind." As the flock settled for the night, Ezra sat by the fire, gazing at the stars. He thought about the parable he had once heard from a traveling teacher named Jesus, who spoke of a shepherd who left 99 sheep to search for one that was lost. At the time, Ezra hadn't fully understood the story, but now it made perfect sense. "Every lamb matters," Ezra murmured to himself. "Every single one." The next morning, as the sun rose over the hills, Ezra noticed a figure approaching from a distance. It was the traveling teacher, Jesus, accompanied by a small group of followers. Ezra stood and greeted him, bowing his head in respect. "Rabbi," Ezra said, "last night I understood your parable. I found my lost lamb, and I realized how much each one means to me." Jesus smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "Just as you care for your flock," he said, "so does our Father in heaven care for each of his children. No matter how far they wander, he will always seek them out and bring them home." Ezra felt a deep sense of peace wash over him. He looked at his flock, then at the lamb he had rescued, and knew that he had witnessed a glimpse of divine love. From that day forward, Ezra tended his sheep with even greater care, remembering the lesson he had learned under the Judean stars. And whenever he saw a lost soul wandering the hills, he would offer them the same kindness and compassion, knowing that every life was precious in the eyes of the Good Shepherd. The end.